Hey everybody, how's it going? It's me once again. Um, this video is not about anything in particular. It's really just a stream of consciousness to put information out there. And I'll talk a little bit about, the stuff that led up to me being sent to this place and my life afterwards, how it affected it. And I'm not saying this as some sort of look at me, like pity party story. There's people out there that have gone to this same place that I did who are all dead of either, like drug overdoses or suicide or whatever. And there's people that are in a lot of similar places, even right now. Right as I'm talking, this very second, there's somebody out there, some kid, somewhere, probably in Utah, Oregon. Those are the two big places. That's something I'll say to the uninitiated. Utah, Oregon, and to a small extent, Washington, Idaho. These are like the sort of center, the area where a lot of these places operate out of, because of number one, the I guess you can get a lot of leeway with the governments there and like the police departments and sheriff's departments and whatever. Like you can really insert yourself into local politics and influence like a lot of these small communities. It's also like very remote, and a lot of these places are very hard to access. Like, if you remember, like a year or two ago, there was that weird monolith that appeared. Where was it? Out in Utah or something, out in the middle of nowhere. And they're wondering, like, why is this monolith here? Because it's in such a place, it's so remote, so far from any road. To hike out there, to be able to build this thing would be such a strange thing to do, such an accomplishment, because it's so remote. It's so devoid of human activity. I mean, these places are full of stuff like that. You'll get a lot less of it in places like California or, even Arizona or Nevada, because a lot of these places are more populated, and the places that aren't populated are like in Nevada, for instance. It's all military. Like a large swath of Nevada, like most of the state, is used as like testing facilities for. I mean, of course, everybody knows about Area 51, but that comprises like a large geographic area where they test like a lot of different weapons, even nuclear weapons. It was a nuclear testing site, that area, northern Nevada, for, up until they banned nuclear testing. So you have like a few places that are really prime. These are like a few of the, these places on the, I guess you call it the West Coast. Some of them are more like middle of the country. And I'm not saying these are the only places where this type of stuff goes on, but these are like the very high concentration places. And they, when they get caught, doing something bad like the child rape, or they kill somebody, like in my case, they seem to bounce around between these couple of places. Now, something I didn't mention in other videos. It's really weird when you're in a situation for so long that things become normal. You're not one of the things, that these places, I assume that people know. It it's weird. It's like I assume you know how it works, but of course you don't, because you've never been there. You don't even know what I'm talking about. But you're not allowed to you're not allowed to speak at this place. You have to, every time you talk, for however long you're there, maybe it's like 3 months, 4 months, or like whatever, you cannot speak. Like, you have to speak. The rule is that you have to speak only in earshot of a guard. So if you talk to somebody and like a guard can't hear you, then you have to put stones in your pocket, or you get screamed in your face, or something bad happens to you. Like, you always have to, when you want to talk to somebody else, anybody, it doesn't matter who it is, it has to be next to a guard. Now, of course, this rule is not like followed. Like, anybody, anytime, like anytime anybody can, they will. Like when you're in the long column formation, marching for like many hours, you can get a few words back and forth. Or when you're out, like on the thing where they put you by yourself. I mean, if you were, this happened to me once. If you're really talented, you can rendezvous with other people that are put out on the, death watch sort of thing, where you have to fend for yourself, and there's like no guards, and like just live like out in the middle of nowhere, and you have to like follow the group or whatever. Sometimes there'd be like multiple people at the same time that are out on this thing, this act, this status, whatever. And if you were really slick, you could actually kind of go like stealth, and rendezvous with another person that was, in this same situation. Somebody actually did this to me. It scared the hell out of me. I was sitting there one night, on this, night, or on this thing that they put you out on when you're alone. So I'm sitting alone, and I'm out in the middle of nowhere. There's nobody around. I'm up like, on a hill or something like that, or a mountain, side of a mountain, or, kind of, when I talked about the blood moon, it was a very similar area. It was probably not like much more than a couple 100 yards from where, I saw that. And some humanoid came running up to me in the middle of the night, scared the hell out of me. Turned out to be another guy that was out on one of these, I don't know, what do you want to call it, out on this walkabout, this death watch, this, untouchable state, whatever. He came out, he actually baked me food. It was the strangest thing in the world. This guy was like a heavy metal type of guy. Like, he listened to all heavy metal, and when he got there, his hair was all long, and he was like a full, trench coat wearing, like, pissed off like all the time type of guy. The guy had baked me food. What he did was he got like pieces of meat and like stuff that he had scavenged, and he made bread. It's really like astounding. This guy somehow baked bread by putting hot rocks. I mean, by putting rocks next to a fire and like burying, like, I don't know how he did it exactly. I think part of the process, he buried it underground, like in the dirt, and then he built a fire on top of it to bake it. But anyway, the end result is like these little things, like not like a pastry, but like a bread, thing that's filled with meat and cheese and vegetables and stuff. I was pretty astounded, actually, because it was pretty good. I would have one right now. But that guy came out, and came out from the darkness and gave me a bunch of those and probably some other stuff. So Yeah, I mean, like I said before, the people there, they're not like evil. Like people who deserve to be there. Like people who are actually like in juvenile hall or like in jail for doing horrific crimes like raping somebody or like manslaughter when they're like 14 years old. No, nobody there had been convicted of a crime. So, we're all pretty normal. It's all a private thing, I guess private law enforcement, I don't know what you want to call it, you know, where you pay somebody to put someone in jail, a private jail or a concentration camp or whatever. It's really weird stuff. But anyways, one of the things I wanted to say is that one of the people, and this took me many years to figure out, there's a woman who she was the one that was in charge on the ground for this place that I went to. She was like the head, you know, authority figure, like for the whole enterprise. I mean, she answered to Bain Capital and like the investment firm that, owned that company. But at the same time, she was within this world. She was like the complete, you know, the commander in chief. She could do whatever she wanted, have whatever done. She was the commander. Now, this lady, I didn't know her name for a long time because she used a code name, like all the other people. Took me, let's see, this was in 2007. I probably came across this in 2017, 2018, something like that. So it took me about 10 or 11 years to track her down, to try and find out her real name and who she really is. Now, her code name, because the name of the place was Sage Walk. Her code name was Painted Sage, although I never heard anybody call her that. They just called her Sage. So it's like her whole dominion, Sage Walk. This is Sage from Sage Walk. So this lady, I actually tracked her down. She has an office in Bend, Oregon. Her real name, her legal name that you can prosecute her for under crimes or sue her for, is Lori Wilmot. She is a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Oregon that has her offices in Bend, Oregon. Everything that I've told you up to this point is directly her responsibility. She oversaw every single aspect of it, from the molestation and rape to the abuse, the torture, and the murder. She avoided going to prison, and she avoided losing her license. And she still has offices in Bend, Oregon. Lori Wilmot, that's LAURIE space WILMOT. Bend, Oregon, to this very day, does the same thing that was done to me, to other kids, under a different name. I don't know what name they go by now, or what code name she uses, or what they call their little program, or whatever, or who they contract to have come out to people's houses and kick in their doors with fucking AR-15s and whatever. But that's her. That is her. That woman, you can look her up on the internet. She has like a few LinkedIn pages. Very small internet presence, no social media, anything like that. Just stuff for business purposes. You'll find this person. They exist. They're in Bend, Oregon right now. I assume that they live there. that is the, if I could identify one individual that is responsible for everything that I've gone through, all of this suffering, all of these deaths, all of these people that have their lives destroyed, who have been raped, molested, beaten, driven to suicide, this woman would be who I would pin it all on. And she's out there. She has an address. Just to put that in your mind. But this stuff has destroyed my life. It has completely destroyed my life. I have nothing left. I really don't really care to, I'm not trying to pity party, but the reality is there is no love for me in this world. There is no chance of me having a family or having a normal life after something like that. If I had all the money in the world, if I was Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates and I had trillions of dollars, I can never buy back my innocence. I can never buy back my childhood. I can never buy back the opportunity to have a first love or to have friends or to experience the things that people take for granted. I can never buy back my youth, which is what all of these rich people try endlessly to do with all of their technology and whatever. It would never happen. I'm condemned for the rest of my life until I die. And the people, why am I alive still? I don't know. Probably because I'm a coward or something like that. I really don't know. There are people out there, went through, because what I went through is very bad, yeah, but there are people who went through things much worse, things that I witnessed and things that I did not witness. People who, things you cannot imagine, things that are beyond. I mean, if I told you right now, think of the worst thing that you could do to a human being, and you probably couldn't come up with what actually happened to some of these people. And then they're thrown back into the world, no help, no legal aid either. There's no restitution. There's no, if you have to go to therapy or you have to go to a mental hospital or whatever because of what they did to you, they will pay no money. You'll pay it all out of pocket. If you were physically damaged, if you have physical problems, once again, out of pocket. It's all on you. No criminal charges, no civil suit, nothing is allowed. So you are totally screwed. It's like going to Vietnam and getting dosed with Agent Orange. You are screwed. Sucks to be you. That's pretty much how the government and the court system looks at it. They could give less of a shit about any of these people. And yeah, I've not really had a great employment history, since this has transpired. I mean, I've worked jobs that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. I mean, I've worked jobs in residential housing, residential real estate, where I have to go into rooms of people, apartments, of people who have committed suicide, shot themselves in the head. I remember my job description is, you have to go around and maintain these properties. I end up going into a place with a fucking SWAT team, and when you go in there, there's an old man who's like 80 years old who has stage 4 cancer. His family won't take care of him or help him. They stuck him in this fucking apartment. So he put a rifle in his mouth, blew his brains out. So I stood there for, a couple hours, whatever, because I'm the person on site that's responsible for, this building or whatever at the time. And, talking to the police. And I'm standing there over this dead body while a crime scene photographer takes pictures of this guy's head, which has been blown apart by a, whatever caliber rifle. And yeah, those are the types of jobs that I hold. No college degree, nothing like that. When I left this place, they lied to me. They said all the time that you've spent here is it counts like school credits. So when you go back, you know, most people never go back. Most people are bounced around between different programs. They'll never ever say that you've been cured. They'll never say like, okay, he's better now, he can go home. They'll always say like, you've got some problem, you got to go here or here or here, or you risk like relapsing or whatever stupid thing. So they'll just bounce you around to a bunch of different corporations that are under the same umbrella, that are all owned by the same investment firm, and the same people make money off of every single program, no matter what it is, whether it's Sage Walk or Mount Bachelor or Turnabout Ranch or Outward Bound or whatever. They're all owned by the same people. So it doesn't really matter where you get sent because the money is flowing in the same direction. And they lied. They said that everything that you do here, like once you get back, you're 15, go back to school, now you're 16 or 17 or whatever, it'll all count and you can graduate high school on time and everything will be fine and whatever. Nope, not true. All those credits that they supposedly provided, not accepted by any school, anybody anywhere. They're trash. They're garbage. It's just written on a piece of cocktail napkin. So when I go back to school after this experience, I get kicked out because now I'm 16 years old. I've missed like a year of school. There's no way that I can graduate on time, so I'm just expelled from school. So that's my reward for going through all that. I got sent to a continuation school. I'm sure you're familiar with what that is. If not, you can look it up. So I spent all of my time studying myself to graduate myself with a high school diploma with really no teachers. You're just given a bunch of shit, told to read it, and then write some report on it, and then eventually you do enough of those and they let you graduate high school. So that's what I did. No chance of college coming out of that. Absolutely not. I went to a community college for a while, which I struggled to pay for. And of course, I'm going through this emotional nightmare turmoil, horrible PTSD. Just in complete hell the whole time. No mental help. No, nothing. I'm totally alone. No friends, whatever. So I struggle through that. Trying to transfer to a 4-year college. That's probably never going to happen. Just run it. I'll be straight up with you. A lot of run-ins with the law. When I deal with police officers, I'm not a criminal or anything like that. I'm not a thief. I don't steal from anybody. But I have like drank and I have done drugs and stuff like that to try and forget about what was done to me. And I'm also got PTSD, so, and I live in not a good neighborhood. So I'm having conflicts with people who are trying to rob my house or trying to do whatever, break into my car. And, I get taken to jail for that or whatever. So, I'm been to this place where I had a bunch of cops while I'm standing in a room, completely naked, being laughed at, humiliated, told to do all this stuff, with my body while I'm naked. Police officers standing there laughing at me and whatever. And then, throughout this experience, I have a black bag put on my head. I'm put in handcuffs, put in the back of a car, not told where I'm going. So when I come up against a cop who's, says, hey, we want to detain you or whatever, they put handcuffs on me and put me in the back of a car, I get a certain funny feeling. It's pretty understandable, I don't trust these guys, not as far as I can throw them. And I really don't, at this point, trust anybody. It's like I'm very like hyper vigilant, stuff like that, very aware of things around me, people's places, events, like a car that's parked across the street or something that can freak me out or whatever. And I know it's not logical. Some of the times it is. Some of the times I have stopped people from robbing my house or somebody else's house because I'm so paranoid and whatever. But a lot of the times it is nothing. It's or nothing. Sinister. And but I can't help it. That's how I see the world now. Is a world of danger where I have to keep looking over my shoulder constantly, and there is no help from anybody, police, paramedics, fire department, whatever. I'm completely on my own. I have to deal with any sort of attack on on myself by myself. If those, I lay in my room at night, I look at my door, and I imagine some guys kicking it in, like before. It's not too hard to imagine once it's happened once already. And I know that once these guys get in here and they get me under control, that nobody's going to help me. No police, no FBI, no, Superman is going to fly in or Batman and come and save me. It's me and my body and whatever weapons I have, and that's the what separates me from going through this experience again. As far as I'm concerned, and then as far as I'm concerned in my mind, since society has shown me no other way and has shown me no compassion, shown me no, you know, closure or restitution or anything resulting from this. And I just continue to suffer from it every day. And the whole reason, and the whole reason I got sent there the first place is because I came from a place that was already messed up. I had my mom, who's a drug addict and alcoholic, super abusive, psychotic woman. I mean, who tried to kill me several times. Knives, guns. I've had a .38 caliber Smith and Wesson revolver put to my forehead and had the hammer cocked. So, my dad doesn't give a shit, has a new family, lives somewhere else, you know what I mean? When he does deal with me, does whatever his new wife tells him to. If she tells him, smack me or whatever because I said something that she doesn't like, he'll backhand me across the face. He'll punch me in the face, throw me to the ground. He'll get drunk, whatever, drive me around, fucking get in a car crash. My mom will drive me drunk to school. Cops will fucking arrest her in front of the school, in front of all my friends. Everybody's laughing. I'll go to football practice. She'll show up drunk on drugs, barefoot, stumbling around. Somebody has to call the police. Oh, who's that? Oh, it's his mom. That guy's mom over there. Everybody's laughing. So that's what I come from. And then you get rewarded. Society normally, you would think, would take somebody like that, like a school counselor, and they would try and guide them on a right path, or maybe call social services or something like that. No, social services is reserved for people who want to homeschool their kids. Actual good parents who get fucked over by the government, so they send in these foreign agents of a bureaucracy to take their kids away from them legally. Meanwhile, there's people out there that are doing this type of stuff they don't give a shit about. You can have a kid show up to school with a fucking stab wound, a black eye, and a gunshot, and nobody will even call anybody. They don't give a rat's ass unless if they have some sort of personal vendetta against somebody that they need to, work through by, calling social services on them. Nobody gives a shit at all. And so, yeah, you go from that hell. You're born in hell. You go to a new hell, which was created for you by a corporation that works with the government, where you're tortured, raped, abused, molested, beat up. You get to watch people die at a very young age. And then after that, you go on to live a very shitty life where you're treated, much like a fucking veteran returning from Iraq or fucking Vietnam, where you have no help at all. You can't even go to a hospital or whatever. You have no therapy, no mental help, anything like that. The cops treat you like shit. because all of this stuff, like bleeps up on their computer or their record when they pull you over that you've been in this place or whatever. So it's all just this nightmare that never ends. So why am I sitting here making this video? Because of all that. Because I've already been through this BS of statute of limitations, calling the FBI, calling these police departments, these sheriff's departments, who don't even want to call me back. They don't care what I have to say. I can call any sort of advocacy group, any government agency, any nonprofit group, name it. Put it in the comments. I'll call them, and they will not even call me back. They won't even give me the time of day over all of this that I've explained to you. Most people that I talk to, normal people, don't even believe that it happened. They think that I'm making this up and that I'm schizophrenic and paranoid and this is some sort of delusion or something like that. And I have to live with this every day of my life, trying working at a job, especially one where you see things that are traumatizing, horrific. You get no help at all. There's been times where I've been out, I've had to deal with, emergency situations, violence related and otherwise, and then I have to go sit in a room and think about it. For instance, people outside of my house, like gangbangers, drug addicts, I have to go out and deal with them who are threatening me. I have a weapon in my hand, lethal weapon, and I have to deal with, 2, 3, 4 people who are all antagonizing me, who are trying to put me on the ground, and take away, my weapon or whatever. No police. They don't help. They don't show up or whatever. You can call 911, Devonshire Division, LAPD. They will not show up. All of this I deal with myself. You know what I mean? Driving down the road one time, guy in front of me, I'm driving a truck. The truck in front of me catches on fire. So the whole truck is on fire. I get out of my truck. I go up. I pull the guy out. The whole thing's starting to catch on fire. Another guy in some other truck had gotten out. He ran up. He's using a fire extinguisher. I'm pulling this guy away, who is traumatized, doesn't know what's happening. His clothes are on fire or whatever. I'm taking him, putting him on the ground and trying to make sure that, there's nothing wrong with him or whatever. Trying to get him away from this fucking truck where these huge, 150-gallon gas tanks and all this propane tanks in the fucking thing are going to blow up. And then I have to go home and sit in my room alone in my dark house and drink and just think about that and all this stuff together. No help. All this, Me Too, fucking bleeding heart bullshit all over the media, Twitter, whatever. They don't give a shit about people like me. Like for all of this, like Black Lives Matter or like whatever, where they're all on board. Everybody, all across the board, everybody's all down for that. All these corporations donate all this money, to all these people who probably don't even deserve it. And then you come to something like this, something that still goes on today. That is, there's no legislation, there's no congressman trying to stop it, and there's nothing. There's no committee, there's no huge group that's out there, there's nobody rioting over it. Nobody gives a shit. And that's something that you have to come to terms with, which is why I'm making videos on YouTube, that have like fucking 40 views or whatever. And I'm sitting here at whatever time of night it is. I don't even know anymore. That's all I can do. That's my last action. Aside from going and actually finding Lori Wilmot or any of these other people and killing them to put an end to this, which I doubt it will, because even if I killed her, somebody else would take her place. And this would continue. There's no policy level thing stopping this sort of behavior of trafficking children, for profit. There's nothing I can do. I can make a fucking YouTube video that'll just get deleted. like all the other ones, 5 hours, 6 hours of talking like this or explaining everything, deleted for whatever because I said Black Lives Matter and I didn't, take a knee or whatever when I said it. Just fucking bullshit. And I don't know. It's just not right, to treat somebody like that. Criminals in prison are treated better than I am. Richard Ramirez, Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, all these people, they're treated much better, much more respect, much more amenities and, help and aid than I ever got in my life or will ever get. So I'm sorry for this rant, this sort of outburst. But I think it needs to be said because at the end of the day, it's the truth. You can call me this or that or say I'm crazy or I'm, overplaying everything or I'm delusional, whatever. I don't care because I know what I saw. I know what I went through. And it's not right. It's not something that should be allowed. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting. So I'm sorry to be so, in a state of wrathfulness, I guess you would call it, but it's a righteous judgment that I'm making. I'm looking at something and I'm making a righteous judgment on it. This is what it is. I'm telling you because people don't know. People have never heard of this stuff, or if they do know, it's off of some website run by one of these companies. They don't know the reality. That's what I'm trying to tell you people, to tell everybody, So, sorry for getting amped up there for a second, but sometimes all the stuff at once, it kind of falls on your head, kind of gets to you, So, I wish you the best. God bless you, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.